Yeah, this is a big one, so I think I'm going to use this one in a separate video. Here we go. And I'm going to talk about uh, the grieving process and mourning. And you know, I was always told, by elders and people at ceremonies that I was going to do a lot of work, uh, not necessarily with the dead, but with that mourning process, the how we grieve, and a lot of my family members had passed away 8 in 1 year. I spent a lot of time thinking on this subject, and I have a really big family, and when my uncle Bradley Baugh passed away, I sat at my grandmother's kitchen table and I was beading. I was making this medallion, and I was going through my stuff and trying to figure things out. But the craziest thing happened is that all my family members, one by one, came and sat at that kitchen table and talked with me. And they were trying to pick my brain. I said, Ian, you're traditional. I don't like that word. But that's what they used to call me in my family. You're traditional, right? I guess so. I do things a certain way, and I guess you could, if you want to put a label on it, I guess you can say that. How do you mourn? How do you get over this thing? I said, how it was explained to me, and I started to learn those things kind of on my own. They came out naturally to me and how I figured things out. And because I asked these questions too, not just with the elders, but to the spirits, and how do we get through that mourning period, preparing ourselves, because it's a very difficult time. And the biggest thing that I can tell people is that mourning or grieving is death is for the living. Just think about that for a second. Death is for the living. We who are still here are the ones that are going through a process. It's kind of like trauma, right? The ones that inflict trauma on us, they don't have to fix it. We do. We have to take care of that trauma, and it's not necessarily fair. But death is for the living, because we're here stuck having to deal with it. The ones that pass away, they're on their journey, and they're done their work here during this human experience that we're having. So they're no longer suffering. They're no longer dealing with the things they had to in this lifetime. They've done their work. We're the ones that are here still having to work it out, figure it out. And I often talk about how do we tell stories, or how do we explain things that people can understand it. I often use the movie Lost Boys, and just because it's kind of similar, and you can see the similarity. In Lost Boys, they have this line: no vampire dies the same way. Some go silently, some go with big bang, some go this way. And the same goes for mourning. Some people are silent and they hold it in. Some are really vocal, and they'll scream and cry and get really emotional. And I was told that it's up to each of us. An elder, she talked to me. I'm going to share a little bit of maybe a trigger warning. I'll put that big trigger warning right here. When I was a young man, me and my partner at the time, we lost a child, and she explained to me, well, maybe that child was teaching you that you weren't ready, and it really, really brought out things in me that I needed to be able to cry, scream, and to have that human experience and to go through it. And it made it easier for when it happened again down the line quite a bit, actually. And the one thing is that spirits, have their own, when we come into this world, from the spirit world, we're shown our life from beginning to end, and we're okay with it. And it's the hardest thing to relate, because there are times when we question our faith and our belief system. If something happens violently to somebody, they will say, no, I didn't pick that. I didn't pick that trauma. I didn't decide that I was going to come into this world and be violently, however you go out, right? And that's very difficult for us in the living. The ones that went out in that manner were okay with that in the spirit world and came anyway. And we don't know why they chose that. We just know that in our teachings that we each choose to come into this world and go through that experience, however graphic. And we don't know that they might have done that just so that we could teach about faith, about belief system, about who we are and how we can deal with things. And because there in history, a lot of bad things happen to a lot of people, but within our teachings that we know that we're just here to live our life and to raise our kids and to teach as much as we can in this lifetime, and be able to get through it. And Adam also warned us about this time, and this was pretty crucial information that he taught us, was that during this time, good people can change through that mourning system. Because what happens when a loved one passes away into the spirit world, we're left here with a lot of questions. Why didn't you allow me to help them, Creator? How come you give me all these gifts to teach and heal and to save people, but I can't save my own loved one? And that's one thing that we have to realize, is that they came here to teach us certain things. And in our teachings, we're supposed to celebrate that life, that their work is done, and we need to be okay with it here. Because when you're doing good for the people and your faith is questioned, you might go to the dark side. No, just kidding. But the good work that you're doing is questioned, and you're not believing in this way of life anymore. That was always so concrete for you. It starts to crumble when a loved one is taken. So he warned us about that. He said, be careful during that time. It's going to be very difficult for you to do the things that you do. Always remember that there's a process. And he even warned us before he passed. He goes, I too will pass, and you'll have to get over that. And you'll have to trust in those teachings that I pass on to you. That I will no longer be here to be able to tell you and to guide you through this process. Now it's up to you to learn that. So that's what I have on mourning. I hope it helps people, because it's a very difficult time, and to always trust in our way of life.